Hi, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. I'm Lisa Strahs-Lorenc. I'm a bereavement specialist. Coding all my words here. And Susan, hi, nice to meet you and see you again.
Hi,
And we have a
Lisa.
new guest.
Nice to see you again this week. I'm Susan Capurso, an end-of-life doula and legacy specialist. And we're here today with a very special, important guest. This is Laura LaFauci, and I love Laura because she's so knowledgeable in everything she's going to talk to us about today. And this is important information that you need to know. Laura is the Director of Community Outreach for Long Island's Amber Court Assisted Living Communities, among many other things. But Laura is an Alzheimer's and Dementia Specialist, certified by the National Council of Dementia Practitioners. She's been in the field for over 15 years, and she's been a caregiver for family members, friends, and patients in facilities where she's been at with both Alzheimer's disease and dementia. So Laura is also, she forgets to tell people sometimes, the chair of Long Island's very prestigious National Aging in Place Council. And that's a resource on both Long Island and nationally that's helped touch the lives of so many people. And I'm so happy to have you with us here today, Laura. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. Hi, Lisa and Susan. I'm fortunate to have Susan as one of my board members with National Aging in Place Council. So thank you for everything you do for the organization. The first question that I usually am asked by many people is, what is the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia? So the difference is Alzheimer's is a disease. So if you think in terms of ALS is a disease, other diseases that have a name, Alzheimer's is the disease. Dementia is not a disease in and of itself. Dementia is a series of symptoms, a syndrome that can be caused. You can have dementia caused by Alzheimer's. You can have dementia caused by Parkinson's. You can have dementia caused by alcohol or drugs.
Wow.
Some dementias are temporary. So you can be in a demented state and have dementia because you're inebriated and drank too much and come back and be perfectly normal the next morning after your hangover. You can have a demented state, but the disease causing the dementia in some can be Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or Lewy body. So that's the difference. The dementia is more the symptom or series of symptoms that make up the syndrome, where someone is in fact demented and not able to work within our realm of reality. So
okay, so we thank you for that. That cleared things up for me a little bit. And you know, we deal with end of life clients, Lisa and I, before they pass and after they pass. And I know that dementia can come on very early, right, in somebody's life, not always at the end.
Unfortunately, it can. Early onset Alzheimer's, we're seeing, the youngest I've seen was 38. It was heartbreaking. I spoke with a husband who called me and was explaining his wife, and he sounded so young. And I said, well, how old is she? And he said 38. And I almost fell out of my chair because that can't happen to people who are younger than me. That doesn't happen, but it can. And early onset typically moves much faster in its progression than when you have Alzheimer's that happens later in life.
Can you go into more details about Alzheimer's and what the disease is actually and the symptoms of it and all? Could you do that? That would be helpful.
Sure. So there are different stages of Alzheimer's disease. The disease itself, actually, if you think about it in the simplest of terms, it's attacking your brain. There's plaques and tangles, and it actually stops. What's in effect happening is that the signals that the brain usually sends, those signals are being blocked. by these plaques. And if I want to quickly think about something, my head processes it really fast, right? So I hear something, the ticking of a clock is happening, and I hear it, and I don't even think about it in my conscious mind because I know what it is. It went in, it went out. Somebody with dementia hears that ticking clock, and it's, what is that sound? What is that? And their brain is trying to process it, and then a siren goes by on the street. Now I have to try and process what that sound was because my brain doesn't work that fast. It's not processing that. And then someone talks to me and asks me a question. I'm still on the ticking clock. I didn't get to that yet. And you're on question 3. So you have to think about it in terms of the brain being eaten away. The actual brain matter it's shrinking, it's disappearing, and it's taking away the ability for those neurons to react quickly like we do. That's not happening for somebody with Alzheimer's. So as the brain declines, typically the things that most get affected are the parts of the brain that have logic and reason and mathematical capabilities, our processes, our step-by-step, our ability to say, what do we do when we have to brush our teeth? Well, the first step is we have to go and get the toothbrush, and then we have to open up the drawer and maybe get the toothpaste, and then we put it on there. And each step is part of the process that we don't think about. We just do it. But somebody with dementia or Alzheimer's, their brain, the part that processes the steps of how to do things, that's gone. So they need cueing. Somebody with dementia or Alzheimer's might need somebody to stand there and say, okay, open the toothpaste, put it onto the brush, raise the toothbrush, and explain it in the simplest of terms. Because if you tell someone with Alzheimer's or dementia to just go brush their teeth, you might find out they might grab a hairbrush. They might do nothing. I was surprised.
Do they listen to the commands and understand?
To the cues? Yes.
To the cues.
If the cueing is told in a step-by-step manner, so you're going to go inside and get your toothbrush and brush your teeth. That's not going to do it. It needs to be, let's walk into the bathroom. Let's open up the cabinet. Let's take out the toothbrush, each step.
Right.
In the smallest increments so that they can follow. Telling someone with Alzheimer's or dementia what you're going to do before you do it is essential. If I'm working with a client and I want to help that client to undress, just saying, okay, I'm going to get you out of those clothes can really scare. I had a situation one time in the assisted living where I walked past a room and I heard a resident very upset. And I walked into the room and the resident was screaming, he's gonna get me, he's attacking me. And I look over and I see a caregiver who's a woman who's standing in the room. And she said, I have to get her in the shower. She soiled herself. I have to get her in the shower. So I'm just gonna get those clothes off of you. And the resident is screaming and so upset. The caregiver had their hair back. The room was dark. To that person, the client, in that moment, someone was coming into her room and attacking her, getting her out of her clothes. And that was the perception. And the caregiver's perception was, what's the matter with her? I'm just trying to help her.
Right.
And it's in the communication that so much is lost, where the caregiver, had she been better trained in that moment, would have said, okay, here's my badge. Let me turn the lights on. Let me make sure the room is bright. Let me make sure that you realize that I'm here, introduce myself, speak to you for a few moments to get you comfortable with who I am and why I'm here before we ever discuss taking off clothing.
Right.
So simple things can really change your outcomes.
Now, there's also personality changes, right?
Yes.
People become more irritated and more upset and more paranoid, as you showed before. But
Or
even people who are,
I'm sorry, Lisa, or blow over something that you're discussing with them that's maybe important. because I don't think that they're grasping it completely.
Correct.
So that happens as well, right, Lisa? So then they'll just start to talk about, something, the
Something else.
flowers on the counter, or something that's much easier for them to comprehend, right?
Right. Yeah. And, some things, there's a lot of controversy about some things and a lot of different schools of thought. I follow a school of thought that really was taught to me the first time by Teepa Snow, who is an incredible occupational therapist who started the GEMS program and created a lot of programs for how to communicate with this population, with Alzheimer's and dementia population. And Teepa put out a training session that I thought was incredible, and I am certified in her programs. And what she taught was that you can't just jump in and get somebody who has Alzheimer's or dementia to understand what you or I might. So if I'm 90 and my mother has been gone for a really long time and I have dementia, and I'm telling you, Susan, I miss my mommy. I want to see my mommy. Can't you just take me to my mommy? You might think that it would be okay to say to me, well, your mommy's gone, honey. You're you're 90 years old. Your mom was gone a long time ago. Well, for me, that's not the case. In my mind, my mom might be right here. I might be in a totally different space and time where I just miss her right now. So some schools of thought say, well, let's just tell her mom will be here soon. Well, what if she's too lucid for that? And you tell her that, and now you're a liar. You just lost your credibility because you lied. So what I teach is to just say, tell me about your mom. I really see that you're missing your mom right now.
Redirect
Tell me about her. She sounds like a wonderful lady. Now, while someone's telling me about mom and saying, mom made the best meatballs and she was wonderful, now I have something to work with. I got her talking about mom and I'll get something, whatever it is. If it's a meatball, I bet your mom's meatballs were the best. You know what? I have some chopped meat. You want to make some meatballs and try some now? We get on to something else. You utilize whatever the conversation is. And it could just be, if she's talking about mom's meatballs, that the conversation took place because she's hungry.
Wow.
Because she can't just communicate she's hungry. She doesn't know if she's hungry. So thinking about in terms of trying to figure out the why somebody's acting in a certain way is really important too. And
I guess it's kind of meeting them on their timeline. I talk about with end of life clients that really when I come in and work with them, I have to meet them exactly where they're at. Because not everybody can leave their letters and stories and audios and videos for family. So if it's a little later, we still have a way of doing that. I am working with a client right now who has early dementia, and it's a little hard, but we're doing it. And I'm wording things a little different. Like I wouldn't just show her my book and read the paragraph in there. I talk about little snippets of it. And I'm getting more information out of her.
Yes. And speaking in positives is so important. Another thing that I'm constantly trying to get into every caregiver I know's had, whether it be a personal family caregiver or a professional caregiver, never say never, can't, don't. It's always better to say, we should try, or why don't we, then you can't, you have to, you need to. And those things end up getting somebody upset because what do you mean I have to? I'm an adult. Right. And, telling somebody you have to take a shower that's resistant to bathing, which many who have Alzheimer's and dementia, they can't see the water. Their eyesight is different. with dementia. So a lot of people think that dementia is just being forgetful. It's not. There are so many physiological changes that go through and biological changes that go through in the body that your eyesight changes. You lose your peripheral vision. You're not seeing things the same way. The way that you process information is different. Your feeling on your skin is different. So feeling where I might feel the shower as a wonderful thing, and why wouldn't you want to get clean? Somebody with certain stages of Alzheimer's, that water hitting their skin is like pellets. It's like a gun shooting at them, the feeling of that water. They can't see the water. They don't know what it is. They don't understand it, and it's painful. There's, in the early stages of dementia, I'm in the shower, but what am I supposed to do in here? And why don't I know what I'm supposed to do in here? And that's scary. And I could fall. There's so many factors that telling somebody who is resistant, well, you have to.
Now, this reminds me of the tour, you call it a tour, that I had come to with you there one day. And I remember you called me in the room saying, come on, experience it. Try what I'm about to show you. And I'm like, no, I don't need to do that. And you talked me into it, and I did. And I got to tell you, it was one of the best things I ever did. And if anybody has the opportunity to learn more or go to a support group or do something like one of these that you did with me, because it opened my eyes in so many ways. So tell us about that.
So it's empathy training. And what it is walking through what it might feel like to have regular age-related impairments that somebody who's, 80 or 75 or above might have. Things like neuropathy. I'm closing in on 50. I've had neuropathy for a few years. So a lot of people who are older do have that pins and needles in their legs and feet, and the feeling of numbness that comes with neuropathy. So you get to feel what that feels like. There's actually orthotics into your shoes that make you experience that. At the same time, you have headphones on, and those headphones give you confusion of what it would feel like for somebody who has Alzheimer's or dementia to be in a grocery store with all of the lights and sounds and things that are happening, and trying to figure out that first sound of, whatever's going on in the light that's just humming, to all the other sounds that might be going on around them, and how confusing that could be. And then having glasses on that mimic what it would be like to have an eye impairment, such as a mild macular degeneration or a peripheral vision loss, and you're wearing glasses that simulate that. So your vision is impaired, your hearing is not so much impaired, but hearing the way that they would process. So it's very overstimulating. And then while that's happening, you have the pain of the neuropathy, which I don't know many people, I'm sure there are some, but I don't know many that get to that 75, 80, 90 range with no pain and no discomfort. So explaining to caregivers when they go through this, that do you feel how that feels to you, that pain in your feet right now? If you were lying down sleeping and I said, okay, time to get up, would you want to jump out of the bed knowing that you're going to feel that pain when you do? Would you be volunteering, hey, I want to jump out of the bed? No. So rather than just yelling at somebody, you need to get up, because who says so, right? The better thing would be to say, Mary, I know it's going to hurt when you stand up. I know that it's not going to feel comfortable, but I'm going to be here with you, and we're going to do this together. And together, we're going to get you through it. And once you start moving, you're going to feel a little bit better, rather than the get up because you have to type of a scenario. So
when we talk about the sounds, I'm curious for different reasons, but is the sound, is it just confusion are we talking about, or could it be loudness?
So it's not, when you hear those sounds and it's overstimulating, it's not so much because it's too loud.
Okay.
It's not because there's too much in the room for a person who's not going to be overwhelmed by it, but somebody who has a slower processing due to something like Alzheimer's or dementia, if you were hearing a ton of sounds and didn't know what they are. So picture yourself, and you can do this, and anyone can do this at home. Put yourself into a very dark room and ask a friend or family member to blindfold you in that dark room, and then make noises that you don't know what they are right near you. And think about how scary that would be, to have these sounds happening and you don't have the processing to be able to know what they are. Right? So you hear something that sounds like a crash. Maybe your favorite figurine broke. Maybe it's it. You don't know, but you heard it and your brain doesn't know what it is.
Got it. I have a question for you now. And it seems to me, and I could be very wrong, but it seems to me that more and more people are being diagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's than years ago. But is that just because we didn't have a name for it and we weren't diagnosing them with that name, dementia or Alzheimer's, or do we even know why this is happening, or is medication helping, or that's a lot of questions in one.
Well, it's okay. I mean, so far, there are some studies that say that the medications, the Aricept and the Namenda can help to maintain some functions if it's given early enough in the disease. It can help to maintain some functions such as activities of daily living, right? So there's been some science that says, yes, it's helpful in that way. But if doctors are putting somebody on it who's already past that very early stage, oftentimes it's not doing much. And sometimes it can be actually causing things like dizziness or nausea, vomiting, stomach discomfort. And families have to really weigh out, is this helping or is it just giving these side effects that might not be great? So it's everyone's, individual has different ways. There was just a new drug that came to market that people were it was very promising and everyone was very hopeful, and it's just been released recently that it's really only going to help again in the very early stages, and most people it's not going to be able to assist, and it's still a work in progress, and they have not found it yet, which is why our resources on Long Island that help, the Alzheimer's Association, the Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center, and the Long Island Alzheimer's and Dementia Center, they're really great resources. Stony Brook has an amazing dementia program, and their Alzheimer's Association is doing so much research, and the
I know a lot
Alzheimer's
of them are free resources, free,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But you need
yeah. They
to
offer free
look for it.
support groups.
Yeah,
All three of those organizations offer extremely great programs. The Alzheimer's Association offers a 24-hour hotline for families that at 2 a.m. your loved one wakes up and they're pacing the floors and sundowning and giving you a hard time. You can actually call and speak to somebody who can help you on a 24-hour hotline. I use that myself. I'm sorry?
that's wonderful.
Yeah. The Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center has a social worker on staff who will assist and help with resources and providing somebody with the right doctor to go to. So they all have their own niche, and they all are just so valuable to Long Island families to be able to say, okay, I need this, and here it is. There's the Long Island Alzheimer's and Dementia Center has a wonderful adult day program,
Right.
and support services for families as well. So, we're fortunate to have that. At least we have a good support on Long
Right.
Island where families can get help.
So am I right? I'm sorry, Lisa. One last question, and then I think you have a story to tell us, right? I think.
Sort of.
What a thought. But so am I right in thinking that just say, pretend that there's 3 stages? Okay, so you have early onset of dementia that could have to do with any illness or not. But then there's a middle stage, and then there's, of course, the end stage.
So I'm going to interrupt you there for a second.
Okay,
So
okay.
early onset is not a stage. It's
Okay,
actually, if I get early onset, it's different than Alzheimer's in that it's going to progress differently. It's happening much younger. It's almost its own thing. Okay.
okay,
Early onset is different than early stage. So separate them in your mind. Early onset is somebody getting Alzheimer's disease much younger than typically we've ever seen it before. And it's happening more and more now than it had 20 years ago. So
That's
early
what-
onset is one thing. Early stage is just the beginning of somebody realizing that we are having changes in the brain, whether it be through having a CAT scan or an MRI that's showing changes, or whether it be that we're seeing different behaviors that we hadn't seen before. I may notice that I'm being forgetful, and I might be busy, and it might be nothing but that I'm just overwhelmed maybe.
right,
But if you don't know where your keys are, right, that might not be dementia if you can
Right.
remember where they are. But if you look at the keys and you don't know what they are, that's going to be, you have to really look at the whole picture of what can cues help you to remember. We all walk into rooms and flick on the light switch and, forget what we came in there for because
Right.
we're busy.
But I think what I was saying more is coming from the minds of a friend or a family member, right? And it sounds like the best course of action for you, outside of all the wonderful resources, but the best course of action is to really learn and have empathetic skills like you're talking about. And that can help a day be so much different than vice
So much
versa.
so much so. Just having proper training and knowing, because I remember when I didn't know. And I remember as a caregiver saying to my mother-in-law, okay, Ida, you go in the bedroom and put your sweater on, fully dressed. You go put your sweater on. I'm going to wash your dishes and we're going to leave for the doctor. And she went in the bedroom. I went to the dishes, got the dishes done, walked into the bedroom and found her naked. Wait, you were dressed. I told you to put a sweater on. Well, you sent me in here. Well, I sent her in there. How is she supposed to know what she's going to do in there? Once you learn about the disease and you know that you can't do that, there is no divide and conquer. We're a team. We're together. We need to do everything together. There's no more divide and conquer. I'm not going to tell you your mom died 16 times and keep getting you upset. If I know that you're not going to process the information, I'm going to ask you how she's doing and get past the moment that you're having that's bad. So yes, absolutely. Just having the knowledge that as a caregiver, just for myself, just having the knowledge that when my grandfather said, there's noodles all over the floor, and I look and there's no noodles. They're all over the place. Don't you see them? And he's reaching down and grabbing noodles off the floor. And other family members are saying, what are you talking about? There's no noodles. And he's getting more upset and irate and lashing out. And because I knew better, I got down on the floor and picked up the imaginary noodles. And that made him feel like I was on his side.
Wow.
And it was okay because we're going to get the noodles. Don't worry about it. I'm with you. John Wayne's coming. He's coming right now. He's going to shoot up the house. Instead of saying, no, you're fine. And John Wayne's not coming. And you just have dementia, which if someone told you your reality was not true, how would you take it? They're crazy, right? We never think it's us and they don't either. So whoever's telling me that my reality isn't real, they must be crazy.
Right.
So if John Wayne's coming and I really love this person who's telling me this, the kindest thing that I can do for them is say, okay, we're going to lock all the doors, we're going to shut all the windows, and we're going to stay safe in here, and we'll make sure he doesn't get us.
And then
Now we're on a team.
it diffuses the situation.
Yes.
You know, I remember years ago, and this has reminded me of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And the book told me, no, change the way you behave with your spouse and speak in a different way to them. And I remember thinking when I read that, no, I will not. I wasn't wrong in that situation. I will not. But years later, after 25 years of marriage, you say, wow, what a difference that would have made if I spoke that other way.
Yes.
In the
It's
situation.
such a simple thing.
Yeah.
But for the most part, as people, we all want to be right. And I asked a family member of mine as going through this, I asked the question, is it more important for somebody to feel loved or feel right? Because you can have your father loving you if you're wrong. And if you say I'm wrong and I'm sorry, even when you're not, or you can be right and have a constant battle. I'll take, I'm wrong every day of the week, twice on Sunday, no problem, I'm wrong. I'm sorry and I'm wrong. And those are important.
Because of your experience and your knowledge and how long. So now family members nowadays, our family and friends don't have your experience and knowledge. So that's really the best, I think, tips you can give them is to learn what as much as you can, right? And
Yes.
take advantage of these resources.
Yeah.
Lisa, I know you had something and I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Well, I was actually talking about other resources only because I see someone every week, and I learned a lot, I guess, on my own. Oh, she's gone for a second, huh?
Lisa,
We lost Laura for a
Laura
second.
disappeared for a second.
Okay, Laura disappeared for a second. Hopefully she'll be right back. I wanted to
Okay.
ask about resources outside of Long Island. And I also wanted to tell her that, you know, that I think that your empathy and your natural ability to understand somebody, you know, I'm an early childhood teacher. To me, it's really going back to early childhood. It's saying to somebody, you know, I love you no matter what, and I'm here for you no matter what, and I'll help you no matter what. And you take it step by step with the person. I explained to, it's funny that she said that, because I didn't realize, I mean, I explained to her everything I'm doing, why I'm doing it. I can come and help you. You know, let's go and do your shoes. Let's go and find a sweater, you know, and I didn't study any of that. I just seem to have adopted it, I guess.
Well, and I think part of it had to do with that early childhood, working with young children, because you do have to have that simpleness, right?
You do.
And gentleness.
Yes, yes. And unconditional love. They need to feel safe with you. They
Yeah.
need to feel you're on their side.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask her also about quality of life at the end. You know, you and I talk a lot about quality of life.
Right.
And yeah, I was going to ask about what else we can do to enhance the quality that they have. There you are. Hi.
You made it back. I knew we were disconnected.
I had to let my barking dog in, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, that's quite okay.
She does that all the time.
We're a casual channel. So
Yeah.
Lisa, I had two questions for you about national resources and about the quality of life at end of life. So go ahead, Lisa.
The quality of life.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Lisa, what was your question? Yeah.
yeah. So at the end, well, first let's talk about resources, only because we have people who watch this who are not Long Islanders. They're obviously from all over the world. So besides Long Island, what other resources can they use for their family members or friends or, you know, people who they know?
So the Alzheimer's Association is a national organization. So they can go right on to alz.org and they'll be hit with a ton of resources across the country.
ALS?
So, I'm sorry?
What's the
ALZ.
website?
alz.org.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So they can certainly get resources there. The National Center, the National Council of Dementia Practitioners, Certified Dementia Practitioners, it's NCCDP. that would also be a resource. The National Aging in Place Council is another national organization that will provide resources throughout the country. And, you know, there are a lot of great, just searching the Parkinson's, you know, when you search Parkinson's, there's organizations, ALS, there's organizations, but it's across the country. And the Alzheimer's Association website has a full list of resources for really anything that you can think of that you might need.
And
Right.
I've come across people lately that are not computer savvy. They really aren't. We think because we are that the world is, but they're not. I have a young aunt right now who doesn't even go on the internet at all anymore. She used to for little things, but she doesn't enjoy it and she just doesn't do it anymore. So if that's the case, talk to friends or family.
Yes.
Find somebody that maybe say, you know, can you help me go online and look for some of these resources and get phone numbers, right?
Right. Absolutely.
We were
It's
also
important. Sorry, go ahead.
Good.
I was just saying it's important to really develop your team. As a caregiver for any reason, if you are a caregiver of another person, you're a caregiver of a child, right? You're a mom. And you automatically think of, well, I need to know what I'm doing for the school. I need to know what I'm doing for the PTA. I need to make sure there's clothing. You amass all of your needs and your support systems, but we don't think to do the same thing when we're a caregiver of an adult, and we need to, the same exact way. We need our support systems. We need our sitters. We need those who can help us out with errands here and there. We need the same support, and sometimes more so, because our children, for the most part, at least when they're young, will go along with what we say. Their adult counterparts who we're caring for usually don't. You know, it's a lot of pushback, and you're not dealing with someone who's compliant a lot of the time. So it's more important to get your team. You want your legal team, your financial team, your support team, your care team, and you want to make sure you have them before you need them. Because the worst thing that you can do, and I've done it unfortunately, is plan in crisis. When things are going the absolute most wrong is when most people are trying to figure it out. And if you did it before you need to, it would take away so much of the stress that we deal with to just plan ahead. I know in my own personal situations, you say, well, we see this happening in my own family. We see this happening, so we should be thinking about, that's morbid. I don't want to think about that.
Right.
Okay. You know, and the average family thinks that, no, they're going to be fine. Okay, but they're not. And we need to start thinking about it. But nobody wants to think about it. And, you know, Susan, with dealing with end of life the way that you do so much, you see firsthand, you've seen firsthand how you get blindsided, and it's like the match truck hit, and now what?
Somebody's scared and doesn't know what to say or do.
Right.
So they
Right.
say or do nothing, and conversations aren't had, and pre-planning wasn't done, and before you know it, that's the end of their time. And unfortunately, we all have an end time, you know, and it's important to put some things in place and get ready. We only have 100 years to live, people. Come on. I hate to say it that way, but
You're giving me 100 years. I want to know I'm getting my 100.
we're getting at least 100, at least.
Grateful for the 67, tell you the truth. I've had people die much younger. So
Of
I'm very
course,
grateful
we
for
both have, and that's why we do the things we do. Lisa, you had another question about the
Yeah.
quality of care.
Yeah,
What is
so
that?
so as this progresses, we know it's not getting better. So talk to me a little bit about the quality of life that we can give that individual. You know,
So I think it's the best thing you can do for somebody with Alzheimer's disease or dementia in every area is to meet them where they are, wherever that might be. I see so often the stresses that are caused because we want the person to be who they were, even though they're changing. And, you know, as a daughter, as a granddaughter, as a spouse, you don't want to see your loved one change. So we fight against it. And we end up creating more stress and disappointment for ourselves. And we force those who we love to back away from us or go into isolation because they can't be who they used to be to us anymore. And we need to find a way to accept who they are today and meet them there. So I've dealt with families that have come in and said, well, he used to be able to, and I want him back that way. You have to get him to where, and I had one family in particular just recently that the spouse said, he took care of everything. He took care of all the bills. He did every single thing there was to do. And he needs to get back to that. And he's being lazy. Okay, and the stress that she put on herself and him to try to get him to not be lazy when he didn't have the capacity, the ability, the cognitive ability to do what she wanted him to do anymore. And it was unnecessary, where if she could have, with her full cognitive ability, been able to grasp that he's not gone, but he has changed. And maybe he can't do the bills anymore, but there are things he can do. And since we have the cognitive ability, we have to change. I kind of liken it to dealing with somebody with a mental illness in some ways, because if I'm trying to get somebody who does not have the ability because of a mental illness or a cognitive disorder or something to change, if we try to get anybody to change, we come to the realization at some point that the only thing we can change is our reaction to it.
Right, exactly.
We can't change the person.
Right, right.
On
Whether
a
it be a
positive note,
personality thing.
on the flip side of the coin, on a positive note, you've seen and met so many families along your journey that are going through dementia and Alzheimer's diseases. And have you seen people go through this well? And
I have.
beautifully versus it doesn't always have to be on the negative, right?
I have seen families that have pulled together. There was one that stands out most with 7 children of a family in Garden City. The mother had dementia and 7 children all managed to have an equal share in the care. And there was, the daughter who was the most vibrant and upbeat, she handled the activities and doing those and keeping things fresh and lively and active. And the son handled the finances and somebody else handled the legal, and they managed it.
That's a blessing.
And I've seen other families that have 5, 7, however many kids, where one person's doing it all.
Yeah.
And I learned in a family of 5 with my mother-in-law that the way to get help was not to say, can somebody help me? Because when I said, can somebody help me? I saw deer in the headlights of, I'm not doing what you're doing. It's too much.
You have to designate, right?
Specifically designate.
Right.
Can you on Friday pick up the medications from such and such a pharmacy, bring it to X and put it here? I could do that. Being specific in your asks become less overwhelming for the people that you're asking, and they want to do something. It alleviates the guilt. It helps. They want to do something.
People do. They don't know what to do. That's the problem. And we don't want to ask because we feel like we're putting people out. So the job doesn't get done.
Right.
And
So being very specific in the ask is so helpful, to just come up with this is exactly what I need you to do, exactly when I need you to do it. And you get the help you need that way, rather than this open ending, I'm overwhelmed, can you help? And throw it out in the universe and hope somebody takes the reins. So that could be helpful. The one thing that's different, I know you mentioned before, Susan, about Alzheimer's and dementia being, a different challenges when it comes to end of life. And I know my family twice, we thought we were prepared. because you're saying goodbye, not quickly, not, the car struck and now you're dealing. No, it was, you're saying goodbye to the memories. You're saying goodbye to the person's personality the way that it was. Every day, every hour, every minute that they have this disease, you're saying goodbye to something else.
Over a longer period of time.
Yes.
And you think when you're at the point when this person who you loved doesn't remember who you were anymore, they don't remember how to shower or bathe, they don't remember how to eat, they don't remember any of the things that make them who they were. And you think, because we thought we were prepared. And when my mother-in-law passed, it was like this rocket ship that took us back in time to who she was before the disease. And we lost that person all over again, like in the shock, because we had been losing her all this time, but this slow way of losing her, but not where she was gone in the way that it hit. It was kind of like you just sped right back to the person who she was long before the disease.
Right.
And now you lost them all at once.
Wow.
And you don't think it's going to be like that.
It's a double dose, just like anybody that is with somebody, in particularly a spouse maybe, or a parent, but that are ill for a long, long time. There are many people that are bedridden for a long, long time. And it's that sadness, and you have to deal with all along, and then the grief comes all over again. I can understand that. That's
Yeah,
It's true. It's true.
it's,
Could we have your contact information so that everyone listening has the information for you and the location?
absolutely. Sure. So you can reach me, anyone can reach me on my cell, which is 631-383-4341. And I am with Amber Court Assisted Living. The difference with Amber Court, with some of the assisted livings on Long Island, is that we are also an ALP program, which is an assisted living program under Medicaid, so that it becomes a more economical option for those who maybe want the assisted care and can't afford the benefit of having a hotel style with 3 different meals a day and snacks and activities and a beautiful building. There are programs that can help the average person be able to afford it.
And you have a memory unit, is that right?
Our Westbury community does have a memory unit, which is a secure environment. So we have residents with Alzheimer's and dementia in both buildings, but some people do need that support of a secure environment due to a wander risk.
Yeah.
Not everybody needs that. And unfortunately, a lot of people, there's a myth that if you have Alzheimer's, you must be in an Alzheimer's unit, and that's just not the case. You don't need an Alzheimer's unit unless it would be a danger for you because you might leave and not know where you are, and you have a history of wandering, or you need much more support where constant supervision, then you might need to have a secure environment. But that's an assessment that it's not an automatic, it's a need to assess it and see where would be the best fit. And that said, Amber Court might be the best fit for some, but not the best fit for all. And in elder care on Long Island, we are really a true village. And many of us, most of us, help each other and are on speed dial. It's not the same with other industry where there's competition. It's more, what is the situation for this individual and who can give them the best help and the best care? And if it's not me, I'm on my phone with, I might be on with a Bristol, or I might be on with one of the other communities, because we all want the same goal as that family to have the best quality of life for their loved one and the safest option for what their needs are. and
that's
we
why
do
so many
work
people-
together.
That's why so many people love Laura, because she is a speed dial machine. So, and especially being on the National Aging in Place Council. I mean, if somebody calls in or emails in, it doesn't matter whether she knows somebody who can help or not. She's on the phone with somebody who can find somebody, who can find somebody, who can find that person to help that person. And the community here is I've come to learn to know, really good like that. But you're
Nice.
very good at your job.
Laura, your
Thank you.
email address. What's your email address?
It's LLAFAUCI@ambercourtal.com.
Okay, good. And I assume there's websites and stuff for it as well.
Absolutely. And anyone can call me or email me at any time. I definitely make sure that I'm accessible. So if, someone contacts me and they get a voicemail, I'll get back right away.
And you can contact Lisa and I as well, and we can always find Laura for you. So that's not a problem. But it was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on today, because you taught me so many.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I really learned a lot.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It was a
And that's why
pleasure.
we do what we do.
It
So
is.
Thank
Lisa and
you
I
so
both have
much.
a couple books on Amazon. You could take a look on there. You could just search on Amazon our names. They're right up top here. And you'll see our few books that we have out there. And EastEnd.Academy houses a few end-of-life courses that we've put together on there as well. So
And we also do independent work. We're both
consult
counselors,
with families and individuals. That's
consultants.
right.
Yeah,
End of life and bereavement. And
That's
that's
right.
why we do what we do, because
that's right.
we come full circle, right?
We do. We
We're
do.
all gonna come full circle.
Yes.
We are. We are.
Sometimes a little bit more difficult than others, unfortunately. But the more, I always feel like the more we know, the more we learn and the more we grow.
Yes.
And by learning these things, you might watch this video today and be able to help your neighbor or say something to a friend of yours, that there are places that can help. So we appreciate having you on.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
It
what
was
you
a pleasure.
do. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.